Welcome to Greater Dayton Live. I'm Becky Kirkland with the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters, and we're producing today's program together with DATV. Today we're speaking with leaders from Mali and Ghana who are visiting the Dayton area, and we wanted to take the opportunity to speak with them regarding women's rights in their countries. They are Widad Saibu. She is a young development practitioner with a keen interest in gender equality and promoting women and children's rights and participation. She has over 10 years of experience working with the rural communities of northern Ghana and promoting gender equality, child protection, and entrepreneurship for women. Widad's ambition is to become a leading advocate for women and children's rights both locally and internationally. She is particularly passionate about causing positive change in the lives of poor women and children. And next to her, we have Aminata Traore. Aminata is in charge of programs for a women's rights and citizenship organization working to protect and promote the sexual and reproductive health and rights of teenagers. She's also the national coordinator of the Network for the Emergence of the Young Women of Mali, which works to prevent discrimination of women and the violation of their rights. Aminata hopes to someday organize a critical mass of young volunteers to work towards gender equality and sustainable peace. I'd like to welcome you both to Dayton, Ohio, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Why don't we start with Widad? I'd love for you to give us a little personal background on yourself and the community you come from.
Thank you. First of all, let me start off with expressing my appreciation to DATV and to you for having us today, and to your cherished listeners for taking their time to listen to what we have, and to the Human Services Planning and Development Agency in Montgomery County for hosting us in Dayton. And to all the lovely Daytonians, we appreciate you and the time that you have for us and your hospitality so far. About me, like you already said, my name is Widad and I'm from Ghana. I am from the northern part of the country, which weather conditions is relatively very hot. So this summer season is really maybe something similar to the weather conditions that we have back home. I am married with 3 kids, a girl and 2 sons, 6, 3, and 1 year old. I'm a human rights activist and a community development practitioner, and I'm 33 years of age. I started off as an activist since I was a student, because I lived an experienced life I lived in a community whereby women and girls were really, really disadvantaged because of the fact that they are just female. There are a lot of opportunities that was denied them because of the simple reason that they are born to be female. And I lived an experience. I've also experienced that for women, when given opportunities, and girls, when given little opportunities, they are able to do wonders. And growing up in northern rural Ghana, I lived through poverty, and I've really experienced how poverty can do to people, like can shut people's dreams, can shut people's ambitions. And I've also realized how organizations, and that was how I came into contact with other non-profit organizations, civil society organizations that took it upon themselves to support needy girls in particular to go through school, like to go to school and aspire to dream big. And I've actually witnessed this results. The work that they did on girls have actually produced a lot of results. And for me, and I happen to be one of the beneficiaries for those organizations in the early 90s and the 2000s, I happen to be one of the beneficiaries, one of the people who actually benefited from the work of civil society organization, non-profit organization, right from my basic education through to the tertiary level. So ever since I got the opportunity to benefit from this organization, I told myself that I want to be part of a cause that is actually that seeks to develop rural girls, especially those from the rural community. I told myself after completing, or even whilst I was still in school, I will contribute my effort. I will contribute whichever way I can to also support those who maybe for one reason or the other are not able to get the opportunity that I have been able to get, so that they would also be able to have decent life, they will be able to have dignified life. So since high school, I started advocating, working with other young people, communicating, working with the non-profit organization that were actually my benefactors. And through to the tertiary level, I continued. So, and at the tertiary level, I started volunteering with the organization that I currently work with, giving back to society, because they actually practically picked me from a level that in fact, I don't know without that support where I would have been. So I told myself that yes, I need to be part of this organization. I need to be part of this of a cause and programs that would actually give to other people of my kind who would maybe without those opportunities they cannot do anything. They cannot actually provide for themselves or even aspire to become greater people. So I started as a volunteer working with them since 2005, and when I completed, I joined them, and ever since I have been with this organization supporting rural communities, especially girls who are in very deprived situation, very vulnerable situation, and women poor who are at the lower income level, just to support them. Also be able to engage in doing something meaningful for their life, engage in income generating activities that will support them, while we also work with other stakeholders to advocate for this dignified lives for themselves, to put them in a position where they become very assertive and are able to also realize their basic human rights that are given them. So basically this is who I am, and I have my first degree, my background, as I said, I'm a human rights activist. I have my basic, my bachelor degree, we call it at home, in political science, and then my master's degree in human rights, in development studies, specializing in human rights, gender, and conflict studies from the Netherlands, International Institute of Social Studies. Yeah. Great.
Well, thank you so much. Such an inspiring, and it's such an honor for us to be able to sit and have this conversation with you today.
Thank you.
And Aminata, how about you?
Well, so I'm Aminata Traoré. I'm from Mali. Mali is in West Africa. So our official language is French. And I'm 28 old years. I'm married. I don't have any child yet, but I hope soon I will have. And I have my bachelor degree in business administration and my master degree in communication. And I have 3 siblings, 2 sisters and a brother. And I started to work about gender equality when I was in high school. Before I got in high school, when I was teenager, my mom was talking about gender equality every day at home, because she's she's an activist, and she's one of the first women activists for gender equality in my country. So when I was at high school, I started to be the coordinator of students in my school, and students started to say that we are not voting for you because you are a woman. And at that time, I was, okay, so that is what my mom talk about every day. So at this time, I've started to talk about gender equality, in my way. So after I graduated, I've started to work with my mom in an organization about gender equality, women empowerment, and sexual and gender-based violence in the community. So I really enjoy what I'm doing there, and like at this time I've decided to be also a women's rights activist. So that's why I've started to do what I'm doing actually. And what we do, we work about, like, as I say, sexual and gender-based violence and gender equality in my community, because I've realized that me and also my organization, we have realized that there is a lot of like case of inequality between women and men in our society. Like people, because of our culture and also because of our religion, people discriminate women and they don't respect their rights. They commit violence against them, and they don't really know sometimes that is a violence against women or a violence against children. So we're working to address those kind of issues in my community, to show people that women, like, it's not because you are a woman that you are not human. So we try to explain that women have a right, women like have to be considered as a human, as men. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be able to be here with both of you and have you both in our Dayton area. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I wanted to talk a little bit more about how these ladies came to the States. They are here with the Mandela Washington Fellowship. The Mandela Washington Fellowship has over, and correct me if I'm wrong, but has over 37,000 applicants from across Africa. And of those 37,000, 700 are chose to come to DC, where they have improved their leadership skills. It just occurred, the summit was just in DC at the end of July, beginning of August. And the 700 that are there work on their leadership skills, as well as exchange ideas with leaders from across Africa as well as the United States. And then from those 700, only 100 are chose to spend an additional 6-week internship across the United States. And we are honored to have these two with us today. So, a very important question I wanted to get out of the way. How long were the flights to DC?
My flight from Bamako to Kansas State, because we are not going directly to DC, we are going to different states. So my flight from Bamako to Kansas was 23 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same as mine, because we started off the journey at 7 p.m. in Ghana, and I got to Indiana because the first part of this program I was hosted at Indiana State, and we got to Indiana the following day. So it was roughly a day-long journey, because we had to transit in Paris, and then from Paris to Indianapolis. So it was roughly a day-long journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And what was, both can answer, or either of you, what was part of the process of being chosen? What did you have to do specifically for the Mandela Washington Fellowships?
Okay, thank you very much. So usually every year there is a call for application, which is an online process. So if there is an online application that opens roughly around about October, in October every year, then it's advertised on a lot of platforms, on social media, through Facebook, through Twitter, through our various country embassies' websites and Facebook pages, and they are even circulated among a lot of networks and platforms. So through this advertising processes, then people get to know about it and then apply. And then the application window usually lasts for about roughly a month, correct me if I'm wrong, roughly a month from October to the end, from maybe the first week of October through to the end of, then they collect their applications and do the assessment. And like you rightly put it, a lot of people usually apply for it, so it takes a long time for the assessment to be done. So they do the assessment, and then those that applications are shortlisted are informed and then called for interview by the embassies. So this program is actually is run or is funded by the Department of State, U.S. Department of State. So the embassies, our respective country embassies, are really very much into the program, and then it is being administered by IREX. So the interviews are usually run. The application process is managed entirely by IREX. So, but then when shortlisted candidates are announced, then it's the embassy that get through, because they are in contact with, like, they stay in our country, so they inform shortlisted applicants and call for interview. They do the interview, face-to-face interview. Then, yeah, we're done by a number of panels with actually where they try to find out, like, test your leadership potentials and test your credibility. Just it's about actually confirming whatever you have put in the application is really you, and whether you are up to task, and whether you really fall within the criteria and then the expectation that they require of people. Then afterwards, after the interview, then the shortlisted candidate, if you are successful, then at a later date, usually the interviews are done around the early, like maybe January, February, and by March you are announced, if you are informed if you are successful. Then the preparation to come in here begins afterwards, where you will do pre-orientation, like pre-departure orientation. The embassy organize it, where each and every one who have applied and have been successful would have a 1 day or 2 days orientation at the embassies. And then usually the applications or maybe candidates come from all over the countries. In my country in particular, like over 2,000, we're told over 2,000. They received over 2,000 applications, and only 33 of us were successful. And then, so they usually would also, after the interview, they announce the finalists and then alternate, because maybe for one reason or the other, maybe a finalist may fail to come, or maybe to pass through all the processes and come, because you still also would have to go through visa applications and all those things. Maybe for one reason or the other, you may fall out from the vote, then it falls onto another alternate, like it falls onto an alternate who will be asked to prepare and come.
Long process.
It's a long process.
Definitely. And were your families very excited when they found out you were chosen to?
Yeah.
Really?
They were really very, because it was like something like a surprise to them, because the way the process is, and because of the competitive nature of it, you don't want to tell anybody when you apply, because anything can happen. And even for us in particular, when we went to the interview, they told us the process is a keen one, and it is really very competitive. So once we have been shortlisted and we have gone through the interview, we shouldn't tell anybody until
we find out for sure.
Yeah, we are chosen, selected as final. So when I got the good news that yes, I was a finalist, and I would be traveling to the US in June. When I told my people, they were really very excited. Both my family, my friends, and my colleagues at work, they were really very happy, excited, and supportive throughout the process. And ever since, they are still even supportive, because I'm away from home, so they still keep in touch, because there are a lot of things
help out with everything.
Yeah,
sure.
So they are really.
So let's talk about a little bit about women in each of your area. Let's start with you this time. And So give us an idea here of what's every day like for a woman there. For example, what are some of the challenges that you're facing in the work that you do and that you've seen in the work that you do that you're trying to improve?
One of the big challenges that we have back home is the implication of religious leader in the management of our government, because when you have to implement a project about like women, there are always like some restriction about that, because they think like systematically you want to change completely their women, because they want their women at home, not at the office. So this is the big challenge that we are facing actually. So also is really difficult for us, like especially for me, because I'm young. So it's really difficult for me sometimes when I'm going to the community and try to tell them what is really gender, because when they see me, they just say that, oh, you little girl, you make us like crazy about your kind of your issue of gender. Gender is woman, so just go away, go and talk to someone else. We don't have to listen to you. But I'm still I'm still trying to talk to them and try to make a changement about that, to explain that gender is not only about women, you see. And also because of the differences between us, like differences about, I'm talking about age. I'm too young to talk sometimes to old people in my community, and so they just see me that, okay, you are not allowed to talk to her, so we are not listening to you. So for those kind of situation, generally when I have to go to a community, I'm going with an imam. Like an imam is a religious people who come with me, so we collaborate together, and he can introduce the subject that we want to talk. So people will listen to him because he's a religious leader, and then I will start to talk, and they will be more open to listen when I'm trying to talk to them.
So yeah. The introduction.
Yeah, this is the introduction. Yeah, is very much. So.
Interesting.
So, like me, as I alluded to earlier, I live and grow in a community where every day, like women and children, particularly the girl child, face a lot of challenges because of their gender identity. And particularly for women and girls, they are disadvantaged in terms of their sexual and reproductive health and rights issues. They are disadvantaged when it comes to access to opportunities, especially for women when it comes to, like, a lot of women do not own assets because of the patriarchal nature of our system, of our community. They do not own assets, like, because the economic the mainstay of occupation in my country, or the part where I'm coming from, is agriculture. And agriculture relates to land, and a lot of the women do not have access to land to even do their economic activities. They also do not have access to finance. They do not have access to even relevant information that would help them in the daily life of their, like in the day-to-day life of themselves, and then even to take very good care of their children. So they lack a lot of opportunities. And then children, particularly the girl child, also do not have, lack access to quality education. A lot of the time, especially the communities where we work in, children have to walk distances to access especially junior high education, because the school infrastructure is not located in the communities where they have to walk for several kilometers, sometimes up to 7 kilometers to access these opportunities. And healthcare is also something that is also very challenging to people in rural communities. So my organization, and then also, especially for the girl child also, they face a lot of abuses. Children are abused daily. For instance, 1 in 3 approximately girls are abused sexually every day, are given out to marriages. Children as young as 10, 12 are married off to
Wow.
elderly
And
men.
there's not laws to prevent.
There are laws to prevent those things, but the laws are not actually being enforced, because Ghana is a signatory to all the international laws and conventions that are there to protect, that exist to protect the girl child or to protect women and children. We are a signatory to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. We are a signatory to CEDAW. We are a signatory to all the fine laws that you can think of. And then even there are domestic laws, that domestic law and policies that exist in Ghana to protect children, but they are rarely being enforced. They don't enforce. The government institutions mandated to enforce this law are a challenge and constraint in terms of resources, logistics to even do all those things. So my organization exists to support the government structures, and also even sometimes they are reluctant to do some of these things. They are not willing. So and also, okay.
Sorry.
So to support all these people to ensure that the laws are enforced, and also provide services that are meant to improve the lives of women in terms of engaging them to do entrepreneurship, engage in businesses, and then support children to also access basic education in terms of providing supplies and teaching and learning materials to these kids.
Wow. Well, I look forward to continuing the conversation off camera. Unfortunately, the half hour went really quick.
Yeah.
And we're already out of time. But thank you so much. It was such an honor, and we look forward to seeing you more. You've still got a few weeks left here, correct?
Yeah.
Great. So thank you for watching, and if you need any more information, you can contact us at the League of Women Voters at lwvdayton.org. And again, thank you both so much for being here.
Let me use this.
Welcome.